Welcome, Dhamma friends. Today is another continuation of my production of the Dhamma calls. And as you know, our channel, on the YouTube, the realization of unconditioned, has picked up some of those feedback from our Dhamma friends. Quite a few of them have asked questions around the path, the experiences, and I'm really delighted to hear from all of you. So that gives me some sort of encouragement that I can continue doing this kind of activities. So this is in response to a Dhamma friend called Anna, and she wrote to this channel in one of those videos about a call I made on the experience of the Jhanas, the complete path from the very beginning and all the way to the end. So that was the call I covered in another language, and that talk was on the Majjhima Nikaya 111 Anupada Sutta. So because I did not cover that in the English language, I was requested if I could do that in English. So that's why I printed out this sutta, and I will go through this one by one as they occur. So this is what it is called in English. So actually Anupada means pada is the path, is the trace that is the showing the appearance of the path. That's if I can say that, this is how the sutta should read. Anupada, yeah. So the pada is the path, yeah, in Pali. So what is this path actually? Do we really have that sort of a good enough understanding what is the Buddha's path and what is not the Buddha's path? And this is something we have to somehow figure it out. And if you have done enough research, then the thing is that there are various interpretations by even within the Buddhist communities, what is the Buddha's path is all about, and that's why there are so many divergent opinions, ideas, concepts that can make even this search very, very confusing. And this is something that like we keep hearing from many people, that they spent 20 years until they found how they arrive at this kind of practices where they can experience jhana within a short amount of time. So what is clear if you have read all the suttas is that Buddha and all the disciples, they consider jhanas as some sort of natural phenomena that it's like a clothing that you wear every day. There is nothing special, nothing kind of a completely otherworldly about the jhanas, yeah. And this is really since it has been such a long time that the practice of jhanas as the Buddha described has disappeared, and many other practices have been followed to blend it with the different ideas and concepts. Even the path of jhana has become somehow distorted. So, and you may not need to be surprised that when people say jhanas, they might describe it in a completely different way. So And the path of the jhanas that the Buddha taught, it is jhanas have been described in thousands of places in the suttas, in the 4 Pali suttas, but the way the jhanas are described to such an extent, to such a detail, probably this Anupada Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 111, is probably the best reference in terms of what the jhanas are like and that the Buddha taught. Yeah, and we need to be somehow bit more kind of, I would say, bit more investigative, and bit more, we need to somehow be bit more rigorous in terms of when we say we pick one sutta and our one teacher's technique of in practicing the meditation. We have to corroborate these across multiple suttas. So, and even the Buddha has kind of used that sort of methodology to say that if he has described one particular experience in one sutta, he himself does report to say that I told this particular verse in this particular occasion. Let's say you can call it let's say in Attaka Bhaga in let's say in Sutta Nipata, Buddha himself refers to that Attaka Bhaga, that I told this particular experience in that Attaka Bhaga, in that section, and now this is the meaning of that. And he describes that a little and he leaves. Yeah. So it's kind of, Buddha also used that sort of cross-referencing to give that sort of very solid type of interleaving of these dhammas, such that we will not end up being isolated and follow that sort of blind approach of practicing a particular path without having connection with the other interrelated practices. Yeah, so that's why all of these suttas, we need to read them and find out what is the kind of key message on that particular sutta, and then find some kind of cross-referencing with the other sutta. So this Anupada Sutta is let's say there are certain types of teachers who follow that sort of shall I say one-pointed type of practice, where they focus their attention on particular sign. Yeah, so this is called a nimitta. They call it a sign, or nimitta in Pali. If you have seen some of the talks from teachers like Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn Ajahn Chah's disciples, they and in particular the jhanas that they describe, they follow that sort of practice of having that sort of nimittas to arise in the mind. So when you close your eyes, then you kind of focus your mind towards that sort of let's say a particular object. Say if you focus on the inbreeding and outbreeding, you focus intensely on that particular experience, then you and after you have done that sort of enough practice of attention, then what happens is that mind will gradually let's go for all the surrounding, all the peripheral inputs, and it will start to create, that sort of a nimitta, some sort of bright disc-like object in the mind, and that's what they call it, nimitta. And what they say is that when that nimitta becomes stronger, it becomes so bright, then you let go of breath. Breath is no more your meditation object, and there you go. You got your meditation object as nimitta, and you follow that. And they said you focus on a nimitta. You as you continue to focus, the nimitta start to grow, and it becomes much more expansive, and it will start to shrink, and you do that sort of tweaking of that sort of attention towards that nimitta to progress. I'll read some of those excerpts a bit later. So this is what shall I say, the conventional jhanas, conventional in a way. That means majority of people, that's what they think that jhana is. But that does not agree with what the Buddha says, but how do we know where is that sort of reference that the Buddha's practice of jhana, where is that sort of source? And for that particular source, we need to combine a couple of at least three or four suttas. So what I would suggest is that let's read the Majjhima Nikaya 10, the Satipatthana Sutta, and in Satipatthana Sutta, it does mentions about jhanas, but Buddha goes through the experience of this awakening by the lens of mindfulness, and that sutta is what is called the four Satipatthana. And what is that four Satipatthana? That is the frame of your investigation, observation, where you observe the body, you observe the feeling, you observe mind and mind objects. So these are the four kind of object of attention to strengthen our mindfulness by observing the nature of the body, and then the dependent on mind and body, we have got that sort of feeling that arise, so that the observation of feeling, and then what, because the mind and feeling, they do arise because independent on body. So we know then naturally then that will lead you to the observation of mind. So mind is like a base. So we have got a body base, and the feeling is a sort of dependent on body, the feeling rises, and mind is another base dependent on mind. What arises? The mind objects arise. So this is the interplay. This is the kind of framework of the Satipatthana Sutta. Now where is jhana in this four foundation of mindfulness? So jhana is a very small part within that framework of Satipatthana. So what aspect is the jhana? In the Buddha's terms, jhana is just the observation of feeling. And even within the observation of feeling, there are many categories of feeling. So there is worldly, joyful feeling. There is worldly, painful feeling. There is worldly, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. These are worldly feelings. And there is another non-worldly, otherworldly feeling, and otherworldly, pleasant feeling is the jhana, are the jhanas. And otherworldly, painful feelings are those aversions, those sort of hindrances, those sort of restlessness. These are the I would say those subtle experiences of aversion, even while you are meditating, these are, I would say, otherworldly painful feelings. Yeah, and there is otherworldly neither painful nor pleasant feeling, and that is the feeling of some sort of contentment or equanimity. Yeah, so here you go. So in this framework of Satipatthana, jhanas occupy very, very small fraction. So, and that's why, jhana is somehow buried in that sort of four foundation of mindfulness. Why? Because jhanas are not, they are not, that is not the center of attention. Yeah. So jhana is just one of those part of experiences within that sort of grand framework of mindfulness. So that's why it is, that makes it, quite clear that the Buddha's path, in that Buddha's path, the overarching, that sort of a, let's say, process, overarching framework for awakening is not the jhana, but jhana is an experience that is kind of somehow super normal, which is beyond this, the experience of the world, and that will be part of the overall framework of this mindfulness. So that's why, that if we can understand this in a shall I say, in good way, then all these kind of one-pointed, nimitta based jhana, and that sort of one-pointed concentration, and that sort of very, very focused, that sort of practices, these sort of things, whoever are proponent of that sort of ideas that the Buddha taught, this kind of practices, they all go out the window, because they do not fit within that framework of mindfully being aware of world, regardless of whether worldly feeling or unworldly feeling, neither worldly feeling, a painful feeling, a pleasurable feeling. You are mindful of that. You are aware of that, and you are not tied and shackled by that. So that's why this is. If we can understand this, then we are somehow, now we are in the right track. That means the jhanas that the Buddha taught is not, is aware, is in open, it is in completely mindful jhanas. So that's why this is a very, very important entry to enter the right, let's say, right collectedness or right jhanas. Yeah. Otherwise, what is going to happen, that if we start to follow that sort of approach, then we already enter the wrong door, and it's quite possible that we will end up in a completely different destination. Yeah. So, and we will be sure that that sort of practice will not lead to full awakening. Yeah. So, and I will go through that sutta in a minute. Let me. So, although I am kind of dedicating this call on the Majjhima Nikaya 111, I thought I will cover some very interesting suttas as well on this. I will not cover the full sutta, but just some of the excerpt. So my kind of I generally would like to follow some sort of a framework in terms of conducting this sort of calls. So what I cover some preliminaries, like I did just now, about the idea, what is the kind of shall I say, the approach. Yeah. So that is the first. I cover the preliminaries, like that, what is the background information and how we should take a step back, and then make a determination what is the right practice, then follow the right practice. Yeah. So this is the preliminary I want to cover. Then I would go through the beginning. What is the process? Now the kind of what is this jhanas or whatever the Eightfold Path we call it. The suttas are very suttas do not spend many words on describing the kind of state of jhana and kind of expanding the kind of richness of that sort of dimension. There are many experiences, many kind of the kind of interaction within the mind that occur, which seem to show so much of richness within that experience, and the suttas do not cover that much of details. Yeah, and I can appreciate why the suttas do not spend much, because it's just the suttas cannot contain something that is personal, that is more kind of a speculative rather than the facts of the Dhamma. Yeah. So say I experienced some, let's say I can say that in the fourth jhana I saw some sort of very blissful experience. I was in the heavenly, somewhere in that sort of blissful state where I see that sort of cloud, or the sort of I would floated across, that sort of experience. These are all personal type of experiences, and if these sort of things would appear in the suttas, then it's just up for discussion. Anybody can say that, look, what you are saying does not, I do not see that way. Yeah, so it can be as simple as that. So that's why all these sort of things are bit speculative, and it is purely personal experiences. That's why they would rather be, I would say that these experiences are dependent on the person's, let's say, experiences so far. Yeah. So what sort of sankhara, or what sort of traditions, what sort of upbringing, what sort of culture that particular person had at that particular time, all this sort of accumulation of experiences may color that sort of perceptions to make that sort of, even the experience of jhana appear somewhat distorted. So that's why we cannot really go for any kind of that sort of minute details of those experiences. And even if I say something that I saw this in this particular jhana, I experienced this, I have to generally be bit more kind of accurate and not to over describe the experience. Yeah, that sort of, there are many kind of personalities that would appear when we are experiencing jhana. So, but there are certain hallmarks of each of the jhanas, and that applies to whatever individuals they experience jhanas. There are certain qualities, all those jhana factors, that are common for all the human beings, and that's what the Buddha and his disciples quote, and they kind of commit those in the writing, in the suttas. Yeah, and they have memorized these sort of words, only those words that do fall into that sort of let's say a rigid, quite a rigorous framework of satisfying that sort of dhamma qualities, dhamma, let's say, principle, dhamma's experiences. Yeah, so that's why all these sort of experiences, the jhana experiences, I would not want to, even if I say something, you need to take this as some sort of stories. Yeah. So they may, appear, interesting to you, or they may appear somewhat alien, but the pure Dhamma, that's sort of the conditionality, the uh, dependent phenomena, the experiences, and our interaction of them, the mechanism of the mind, these are kind of universal truth, and they are consistently experienced by all the meditators. So that's what I will say in terms of giving that sort of analysis in terms of what these experiences and how we should be sure that those experiences are somewhat reliable. Yeah. So I mean, we have got every right to ask that sort of question: is that what is the kind of assurance we have that we are following the right path of the Buddha? Yeah. So that's why, and in terms of preliminary, and this is the even the Buddha is this entering the higher state of mind. Let's say the going beyond this state of cluttered mind that is affected by those five hindrances, and the jhanas are somewhat there is all what was, let's say this is the all this kind of our experiences that are colored by those five hindrances. They are what the Buddha calls as, they are the confinement, they are some sort of barriers for us to enter to that higher state of mind. So we and Buddha gives a simile of a competent cook and incompetent cook. Yeah, so this is in Samatha Nikaya, section number 47, Satipatthana Samhita, Sutta number 8. It's called the incompetent cook. And Buddha says that foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook does not gain gift of clothing, wages, bonuses. For what reason? Because that foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook does not pick the sign of his own master's preference. So this is the quite a typical example, is that we might have that sort of some sloppy cook who just cooks but doesn't know what is the right timing, what is the right environment, what is the kind of how we should trade. Yeah, somebody if doesn't know the right time to practice, the right environment to practice, and right preparation, then no matter what you cook, no matter what is being prepared, that is not going to satisfy the objective. Yeah. So that's what they're saying, is that even if you cook a dish, if somebody is not hungry, if somebody does not like the taste of that particular food, then whatever no matter how good the food you made it is gonna go to the waste, because you simply didn't find the right entry. Yeah. So that's what the Buddha is saying. And so Buddha says, so too bhikkhus, here some foolish, incompetent, unskillful bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetous and displeasure in regard to the world. While he dwells contemplating the body in the body, his mind does not become concentrated, his corruptions are not abandoned. He does not pick up that sign. Yeah. Although some teachers are very quick to say that, oh, Buddha is talking about the nimitta. It's not really about nimitta. That sign is the kind of object. That object doesn't mean that it is a radiant glow that you need to kind of focus on. It's just saying is that, what is that state of mind? Has the mind start to become slightly settled? Is that has the mind found the entry? Yeah, and that is the sign. Yeah. So you need to be observant. Has the mind started to kind of, you start to roam around the terrain of mind, and there is an entry, yeah? And has the mind found that sort of entry to enter that sort of higher state of mind or not, yeah? Somebody can ruminate around, aimlessly for hours or maybe days, for years, and not enter that sort of state of mind, to enter that sort of deeper state of mind, yeah, because he didn't pick up the sign. Where is the entry point, yeah? And that is the same state. We can be meditating for many hours and we still not be able to enter that sort of entry into that sort of higher state, yeah. So he dwells contemplating feeling and feeling, mind in mind, phenomena in phenomena, ardent clearly comprehending, having removed covetous and displeasure in regard to the world. While he dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena, his mind does not become collected, his corruptions are not abundant, he does not pick up that sign. So that's why that is what is that sign. So if I can give that sort of example, is that, let's say we are kind of, we if we go, shall I say, into some sort of bush or in a forest, and we might be, if we are not kind of if we are not observant, then it can be a aimless types of, kind of a voice that we will, be spending, many hours of our time without identifying the spot. Yeah, that's sort of what I call I called it previously. Maybe we can call it sweet spot, or I have called it before Goldilocks zone, or some sort of a zone where the mind is a bit more malleable, mind is a bit soft, and you need to find that entry. And when you are practicing, your mind is that sort of wobbling, and your mind is constantly in search. Now we need to find that, you need to take a step back and see, observe, where is the mind trying to settle, yeah? It does, we wobble a little bit, and if you take a step back, and the mind will gradually settle, and it will start to kind of, fall into that sort of a dip, yeah. And there is a depth in the mind, where the mind, if you rest on that particular state of, the mind, where it is purely very relaxed and at ease and calm, that's where you enter that. So that is the entry to the higher state of mind, and that's what we call the mind that is devoid of all this confusion, the hindrances, and higher state of mind that we call the jhanas. Yeah. So that's why the kind of observing the state of mind, where the mind is, taking a step back, let the mind to calm itself, let the mind find itself, is that sort of point of equilibrium, and then let the mind to rest and dive into that sort of a state of tranquility and the calm and happiness. That is how we need to progress in this practice. Yeah. So it is not, if we start to put too much force in trying to bring up that experience, that will somewhat, it's like putting too much gas in the car. You might crash the car. Yeah. So you just need to take a kind of a very smooth ride. You cannot put too much gas. You need to somehow make that sort of maneuver to make sure that it is perfectly aligned to the reality of the present moment. Yeah. So it's kind of your maneuver is to kind of back off. Let the if the mind is heading to the right direction, you need to back off. Yeah. You just don't put any kind of effort. But if mind is becoming sluggish, and mind is already taking a back seat, you need to nudge the mind a little bit so that it does progress. Yeah. So you see, then this is a real, practical example. Is we all are accustomed to. Yeah. So it's, like a driving in a kind of very, let's say, picturesque village, or in that, or sort of to that sort of countryside. Yeah. So it can be as fun like that. So if we are practicing the meditation, practicing the path of the mindfulness, being fully aware, then that sort of, following that sort of path very, very closely, that is the right path. Yeah. So and if I want to give an example, is that somebody who are practicing that sort of let's say one pointed concentration, they are just following that sort of let's say they are heading to one direction without even knowing what is happening in the surrounding. Yeah. So that can cause that sort of let's say some sort of incident that they will be trapped in that sort of a condition for a long time. So let me so that makes Buddha is very apt in that, giving that sort of simile, is that this is the real situation, is that we need to assess the present moment, the situation, and make the sort of effort. So that what does that mean is that you have done your practice today, and you managed to get into very good and a peaceful higher state of jhana. But the same does not apply tomorrow, because it's like a human being, yeah, or somebody who is employed you. His taste might change tomorrow. He might not like that sort of spicy dish tomorrow. He might want to eat some plain food without any sort of that sort of things. Tomorrow, if you follow the same approach, the mind will become completely unsettled, and you will spend hours and not even enter the jhanas. Yeah. So you need to, again, tomorrow you need to look at what is the mind, where this mind is. Is it too agitated? Is it too relaxed? Is it too lethargic, or is it too restless? And then you need to take a step back, or do that sort of effort. So that means each practice, each step, you need to have that sort of assessment. Yeah. Let's say reality check. Yeah. That's this is what the Buddha is saying, is that he didn't say in this particular terms, in modern days terms, but that's what the Buddha is saying, that don't blindly enter that sort of state and expect that you will get to the higher state of mind. You need to make that sort of conscious judgment of the present moment. Yeah. That's all I say. This is in terms of some sort of practice. That's a preliminary. Now let me give you what the this is. I have not read this book fully, but there is a book from Ajahn Brahm. It's called The Art of Disappearing, and I'm not saying that Ajahn Brahm is wrong, or he is right, or he's wrong. There are some sort of experiences that he describes which are not supported by the suttas, or they are not kind of in concord with the suttas. So, and I'm going to read a small excerpt from his book, The Art of Disappearing. And he says, when the body disappears, you experience stillness deep inside. It's a jhana state. In that jhana state, you are disengaged from the world outside. Disengaged. The five senses have vanished. Sometimes this is called being aloof from the world of five senses. In fact, it is more than aloofness. It is complete disengagement complete ending of the world. Once you start to test the stillness in the mind, it is terribly addictive. It's meant to be addictive, yeah? It's a good thing, because the addiction of mind to stillness is what is going to drive you deeper towards Nibbana. The Buddha actually said that attachment to deep meditation can only lead to the stage of enlightenment. He puts Digha Nikaya 29, I think it's a Pasadika Sutta, and he says, you don't have to be concerned or worried about the addiction to letting go. It is the pleasure, joy, and mind part of monastics. It is their freedom. It is an addiction that leads to more and more fading away and letting go. Nibbana increases and it pushes you away from the world. Okay, I think I would not completely disagree, or I would not completely agree with his these few words. Yeah. So first of all, what I kind of have, what I want to say is that jhana is not a complete disengagement from the world outside. The world outside, the five senses, does not disappear in the jhanas. He is saying that the five senses have vanished. It's not. In the Buddha's jhanas, those five senses do arise and they do stay and they do cease. Yeah. So if those five senses disappear, that's what he's saying. You shut down this seeing, you shut down the hearing, you shut down the touching, you shut down the tasting, you shut down the smelling. If you do that, you are left with just that sort of nimitta. And that is not what the Satipatthana Sutta is saying. That is not what the Anapanasati Sutta is saying. Anapanasati Sutta and Satipatthana Sutta is saying that you observe body as a body, feeling as a feeling, mind as a mind. There is a body. When you say there is a body, there is eye, there is an ear, there is a taste, there is a touch. These are all body, five senses. So it's completely, but what he is saying, in his jhana, all the five senses are completely closed off and you are only left with the mind. And that is not what the Buddha's jhana is. In the Buddha's jhana, they all are there in your awareness. They will come and they will arise and cease. They do arise because those external phenomena had a contact with the internal sense basis. Dependent of that internal and external sense basis, consciousness arose. When the consciousness and those sense bases come together, contact arises. Depending on the contact, the feeling arises. So if you don't see that feeling, if you don't hear that feeling, that means you are shutting down all the phenomena. And what are those phenomena? These phenomena are part of the noble truth. Yeah, the arising of the phenomena, ceasing of the phenomena, and the sort of the way leading to the ceasing of the phenomena, and the complete cessation. Yeah, so it's kind of, you need to see the arising and ceasing. Yeah, if you have only shut down, if you have closed off the door, that means you are already outside the domain of that sort of four noble truth. That's why it is really what this is. This kind of practice can actually lead to that sort of let's say aloofness. That is true. It is aloofness, but it is aloofness in the sense of complete isolation, and the complete isolation is not what the Buddha taught. Yeah, so we have to be absolutely clear that this in the Buddha's path is letting all the phenomena be as they are. They will arise, they will remain, they will cease. What the Buddha is saying, do not be engaged, do not be kind of engaged or be interfering with that process. Let the process flow, let them arise and cease, let them hit your awareness, let them contact you. But what you need, you will see that arising and letting them be and letting them subside by themselves. As soon as you start to push them, if you start to suppress them, if you close the door for them, then what you are not seeing the process. You are not seeing the core process of seeing that sort of, the, what do you call, the idapachita, the arising and ceasing, yeah? So the conditionality. What is that conditionality? Sense, external sense basis and sense contact, and the base, dependent on that, what sort of phenomena do arise, yeah? So that is the kind of the core of the Four Noble Truths, and that is the process of awakening, yeah? So entering the deep jhana state and being detached from the complete all the five senses does not lead to that sort of insight into the phenomena of arising and ceasing of those sort of suffering, yeah? So if you don't know the arising and ceasing of the suffering, how do you know the Four Noble Truths? If you don't know the Four Noble Truths, how can you become awakened, yeah? So that's why, it's kind of, there are some elements of, let's say, truthfulness in that practice, but it is somewhat prematurely entering that sort of a state before kind of, entering that sort of, before being able to discern that, where the ultimate goal is. What we are trying is that we are not after bliss, yeah? So somewhat this teacher seemed to think that we found the bliss and let's enter that bliss and forget about everything. That's not what that's not what Buddha is saying. So let's be absolutely clear, yeah? Is that staying in the jhanas for as long as we can, that is not the objective, yeah? So we need to see the terrain of the jhanas, we need to see the profile of the jhana, we need to see that sort of, unsatisfactory nature of the jhanas, we need to see how the jhanas would remain, settled. We can explore all these sort of, kind of many, let's say, reality of the jhanas. And that's when we're immersed and when we're skilled in all the terrain of these jhanas, and that will mature our, let's say, our insight to be able to get what the Buddha calls disenchanted with the process. You cannot, let's say, attain Nibbana without these three steps: disenchantment, dispassion, and cessation. So where is that element of disenchantment? Where is that element of dispassion? Where is that element of cessation? This book, Art of Disappearing, is all about being addicted to the jhanas, being submerged into the bliss of jhana. That's not, Buddha didn't say that. That is a misinterpretation of Digha Nikaya 29. That Buddha is saying that in that Pasadika Sutta, what the Buddha is saying is that if other people say we dwell in a bliss, that we should be saying, yes, we do. The Sakya's disciples, they dwell in the bliss of jhanas, but as some sort of temporary abiding, not as a permanent or not as a refuge. And this teacher is mistaking himself, jhanas as the ultimate refuge, and by submerging into jhana, and he says you'll be entering the nibbana. No. By submerging into jhana, you can never, by submerging into jhanas, you can never experience nibbana. You need to wake up. You need to see. When your mind strikes, that sort of in the lightning bolt of thunderbolt of that Dhamma, that sort of shaking of the that process of the nature of that phenomena, seeing the process, that sort of nature of the phenomena, that sort of lightning strikes will make you awake. That will make you, let's say, that will lead to enlightenment. Not enlightenment, to awakening, to bodhi. Bodhi means you arise, you will awake from all this sort of what is called our entanglement with all this sort of phenomena. So you will completely be disentangled. You are out of the loop of this phenomena. So before you were identifying and you were engrossed and enveloped in that phenomena. Now you are kind of what you call, Buddha says that kind of like the snake and the slough. Yeah, that the sort of it just falls apart. They are completely entangled. So you are completely detached from the phenomena, and that is the awakening. Yeah. So that's okay. This is the bit more comprehensive. Let's say introduction to awakening, and hopefully if we can understand this process, then all what I read will make sense. Yeah. Okay. So I know I have already made good use of my time. So I will now focus on this Majjhima Nikaya 111. Yeah, Anupada Sutta. Thus have I heard, on one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in the Jeta's grove on Pindika's park. There he addressed the Bhikkhus thus: Bhikkhus, Venerable Sir, they replied. The Blessed One said this: Bhikkhus, Sariputta is wise. Sariputta has great wisdom. Sariputta has wide wisdom. Sariputta has joyous wisdom. Sariputta has quick wisdom. Sariputta had a sharp wisdom, a keen wisdom. Sariputta has penetrative wisdom. During half a month, because Sariputta gained insight into states. State means this is the mental object. Yeah, actually, it's called Dhammas. One by one as they occur. So this sutta is saying that nothing escaped the mindfulness of Sariputta. So Sariputta's mind was so sharp that each and every phenomenon, or what you call Dhamma object, mind object, didn't escape the scrutiny of his mindfulness. So his mind was razor sharp. He could pick even the minutest detail of our experience. Let's say we are so much used to bundling the things into experiences of pleasure or pain, and even the sort of jhana is so subtle. You can analyze and pull them apart into this jhana. We say people like other teachers, they can only describe as a jhana. But if your wisdom, if your awareness is so sharp, then you can pull apart this jhana into 5 or 10 different constituent part. You can say, oh, this jhana is consisting of joy, equanimity, mindfulness, all this sort of thing. That's what the Buddha Sariputta is saying, that he was able to split them apart into that sort of atomic level. That's why Buddha is saying that Sariputta is foremost in the wisdom. Yeah, that's why, because he had such a sharp awareness. Yeah. Then the Buddha says here, because quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of seclusion. So now this state of jhana, yeah, is kind of what the Buddha is saying is that now let's say we are completely unaware of what is jhana. Yeah, so jhana is like something completely unknown experience. All we know is some sort of there is rapture and pleasure. Yeah, so that's all we know. And in Sariputta Sutta it says it's unworldly joy. Yeah, so and if we don't know this experience, how do we know that we can enter into that state? It is that's why the entering into the jhana is somewhat, is a kind of investigation of terrain. Yeah, I would say that, when I started to practice the entry into the jhana, and to kind of we can compare this experience to any new skills that we are just trying to master. Yeah, for example, you might have you don't know how to drive a car. You have seen the car, but you don't know how to operate a car and go. You cannot make a journey like a 1,000-mile journey if you have not even know how to drive a car. Yeah, so it's kind of, you are bound to have that sort of very, very let's say, have a heavy foot. Either you press too much on the put too much foot on the gas, or you might forget to press the button kind of on the clutch, or you might, when the car has runs past, you forget to press the brake. All these sort of things are there. All these sort of kind of, say, knobs are there for you to make your journey smooth and kind of follow that sort of highway of the jhanas. Yeah, so that is the entry, is that you will have that sort of very, very confused state in the beginning, and that particular, and what makes so confusing is that we are so much used to sort of having that sort of immersed in that sort of sense pleasure of having to listen to the music, to eat food, and that sort of, and having that sort of thought about all these sort of plans. These sort of things, they are so fresh, and they pull those mind and the sense contact into 6 directions. We have a 6 contact, and they are so much diversified. So mind cannot find any kind of, mind has got a very little to kind of stay and be in that sort of internal composure. Yeah. So the jhana is what is jhana? Is the mind finding that sort of composure to stay in that sort of to let go of that sort of diversity and arrive at that sort of state of mind where it is giving slightly bit more of time slot or more attention to the internal state of mind. Yeah. So once you start to let go of all the sense attraction, you let them be. You do not try to forget about that. You do not try to suppress them or try to all this. All you do is let those things settle by themselves, and your attention would be in a mind. Yeah. And the best, let's say the quickest way to arrive at the higher state of jhana is to lead the mind towards something wholesome. Yeah. So you let go of that all unwholesome, of those sort of thinking of this all sense pleasure about having that sort of things. You let those unwholesome state to leave them up, let them go. Do not pay attention to them, and you pay attention to the wholesome. And what is the wholesome? What kind of wholesome state you can cultivate, or you can dedicate more time on? you let the mind to dedicate more on the quality of loving kindness. Yeah, or the practice that we follow in this. I have not done the mindfulness of breathing that much. I did very short sessions on the mindfulness of breathing, but I've been practicing the mindfulness of loving kindness. And what we in this practice, what we do is we make that sort of feeling of loving kindness towards ourselves for 10-15 minutes in the beginning. We make some sort of wish for our own happiness, for our own welfare. May I be extremely kind. May I be extremely generous. May I always be patient. May I have that sort of compassion for all the beings. May I be a good human being. May I be a good father. May I be a good son. These sort of things. If you start to think of, bring that sort of thoughts, be with that sort of thoughts, and make them your primary attention. You pay full attention on those sort of loving and kind thought. And whenever those sort of distractions do arise, when they started to pull you away from your feeling of loving kindness, you do not suppress them, you do not force them, kick them away. They will start to pull your attention away from your loving kindness. You let that, whatever attention, whenever the attention goes to that object, you let that be. You drop that, you release that. You release your attention from that unwholesome thought, unwholesome ideas, unwholesome attention. Drop them, release them. Just whatever happens, whenever you notice that your mind has gone to that, you just let that be. Not to get carried away, let that be. And once you have let that be, that particular mind, that sort of engagement, that sort of interaction, start to bring that sort of little bit of unease within the mind and body. So we may not have that sort of capacity to notice that in the beginning. That's why we need to release the kind of that sort of attention to that. Once we have done and kind of pull that sort of, let's say, the string out, then we have already lessened their impacts. Then we need to relax the mind and body. So relax the mind and body is just let the mind and body just settle. Just let the mind and body be as it is, not to put any effort at all. Just relax. Any tension and tightness in your body, in your mind, just calm and relax. Yeah. So that does invigorate the mind. That does energize the mind. Two, then you recognize that the unwholesome state has arisen. You release the attention from the to going towards that sort of unwholesome state. Then you relax your mind and body. Just let the mind and body be at ease. Just calm and let any tension and any kind of bodily stress wherever in your body. If you do this kind of your body, you will feel where your mind and body was being tense. Let that, just relax that. Yeah. Recognize, release, relax, and you make a good smile in your mind and in your heart. Yeah. So it is quite very, very important that smiling is a we have got a tendency to take everything personally, and our mind has got some sort of gravitated towards remaining quite serious and being very attached and being very concerned and unduly worrying about this sort of things. So smiling, what it does is it brings that sort of, the unease and let's say that sort of stages of sadness or some sort of, gloom, doom and gloom in the mind. It will start to blossom the mind. Yes, so smile is very important. To not to let the mind go into the mud. Yeah, that's what the Bhante used to say. So it's kind of smiling is very important to uplift your mind, to be in that sort of wholesome and to be in that sort of sublime state of mind. So that's what we do. Recognize that unwholesome state, letting that unwholesome state that be by releasing your attention, relaxing your mind and body, and re-smile to be in that sort of wholesome state of loving kindness, of compassion, of having that sort of generous and kind and compassionate being. Yeah. So that smile will help you immensely to be ready to be in that state. So after re-smiling, then you return to your meditation object. And what is your meditation object? May I be a great, let's say, a human being. May I be a great teacher. May I be a great husband. May I be a great father. Yeah. May I be extremely generous patron of all the charity organization. So you can have all those sort of things, wholesome qualities that you can bring up to bring your mind, increase your attention of your mind towards that sort of towards that wholesome, let's say, bright part. So you reduce the dark part by not paying attention to them, and you bring the bright part. So the kind of the effect of these two activities, letting those be, not to interfere, not to engage with them, and bringing that sort of wholesome state up. This activity will lead you to the fastest progress in entering the jhana. That I know. Yeah. It didn't take me more than 2 or 3 days to enter the jhana. So some people they would be, be awakened in a matter of few days. So there are some very good and very, very smart meditators, and here you go. I'm not one of them, unfortunately, but at least I do kind of take a satisfaction in that I was able to experience jhana in a couple of days. So that's what Buddha's this Anupada Sutta is saying, that you arrive at that sort of a state by secluding yourself, by not paying attention to those sort of unwholesome sensual thought, ill will, that sort of those 5 hindrances, unwholesome state are those 5 hindrances, not paying attention to them, not putting a bar or sort of building a wall to not those states enter into your mind. We are not we are not practicing to build a wall. Yeah, we build the bridges. We let them come in. But those unwholesome states, they will fade away if we do not pay the attention to them. Yeah. So our strategy is to not to pay attention to them. Let them come. They are very much welcome, but they will fade away by themselves if we do not pay the attention. So that is the fundamental difference to those other practitioners who want to suppress all these sort of 5 senses and entering into the bliss, and lock in themselves into that sort of bliss, and be in that state for days and hours and so on. Yeah. So we are not in that club of being kind of locked into that sort of jhana state. Yeah. Because our jhana is that even if jhana arises, you can see that jhana is just sitting in the corner. Yeah. It is just a small part of the big picture, and this jhana is giving that sort of awareness of kind of, it is making body and mind so happy. You can feel that, you can experience all that, but you are not tied to that. All these sort of things, and it is making you very happy, blissful. You can experience all that sort of your mind. You are paying attention not to the jhana experience, but to the mind of loving kindness. You are continuing to give the loving kindness to yourself or to your spiritual friend. That's how you are, kind of increasing the state of wholesome mind, abandoning the unwholesome state of mind, and let the jhana be as it is. Just keep it in the background, not to something to be interfering with, not something to be involved with. Jhana will stay as long as it needs to be there. Who cares? You don't need to worry about jhana appearing or disappearing. They will just stay as long as they want to stay. Yeah. So you just need to allow them to be there whenever they want to come or go. Yeah. So actually the state of, by letting them be, by letting them go, you are making them be more stable. Yeah. So those jhanas will become even more stronger, even more stable, even more sublime, even more, let's say, exquisite, if you let them be and just allow them to do whatever they like to do. So your experience, that sort of, the happiness will grow if you let them be and just let them. Your happiness will intensify. Yeah. So that's why when it's don't worry about when the experience arises, don't try to grab them. Just let them be. And that's how they will be, even more kind of sublime. Okay, and now let me read this, and I've got quite a few to go. And in the state of first jhana, the applied thought, the sustained thought, the rapture, the pleasure, the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, formation and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to whom those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. He understood thus, so indeed these states, not having been come into being, having been they vanish. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated, with the mind rid of barriers. He understood there is an escape beyond, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Okay. I mean, so I read quite a few terms here. So the richness of jhana. So it's kind of, if you experience jhana by suppressing all the hindrances, all the five senses, you will not get all these insights. Yeah, you will not be able to see the contact. You will not be able to see the feeling. You will not be able to see perception, formation, and mind. Yeah, those five aggregates. The Sariputta saw that. He saw the links of dependent origination in a rudimentary form. Yeah. So what is saying that he saw in the first jhana the applied thought and sustained thought. So what happens is that when you let the mind to pay attention to some wholesome state, and you let go of unwholesome state, then what is happening? Your practice is to sustain the wholesome. Yeah. That wholesome will increase and the unwholesome will be abandoned. So if you can progress this practice beyond 1 minute or 2 minutes, then you have unlocked the jhana. Yeah. So our daily kind of mind and mind interactions is that we cannot stay with our wholesome thoughts, wholesome intention, even more than 1 second. Yeah, it becomes so very fragile, it's so flaky. Yeah. So if you can manage to sustain your wholesome thought for about a minute, there you go. You have, it does not, it's not like that. Even that 1 minute of duration is very long. 1 minute is not a short one. If you can stay with your mindfulness of loving kindness for 1 minute, guaranteed you will be in a jhana. Yeah. So our mind is very, very weak, and it can be influenced by so many kind of the storms of all these sort of thoughts, emotions. Our mind is really, really very weak in the beginning, and if you can sustain it for even for 10 second or 15 second, then you have started to increase the kind of the strength of your mind. Yeah. So mind becomes slightly more stronger. And when you can sustain your that sort of wholesome state, then what you see is that mind is gradually that the mind going to the 6 different senses instead of becoming divergent, they start to come together. They will start to gravitate towards the mind, and they start to center around the loving kindness. Yeah. So that the mind start to become unified. That mind does not scatter to all, to the eye, to the ear, to the nose, or to mind object and thoughts. All these sort of their tendencies will become less, and mind start to come into that sort of one wholesome thought. Yeah, the loving kindness. They start to pull those things together. It's kind of become, let's say, the light becomes a bit more focused. Yeah, so you can say that, or it becomes less scattered, let's say. Yeah, that's what the unification of mind, that is what is meant by. So when you have seen that mind is gradually coming to that one kind of unified entity, then you can see that okay, the mind there is less distraction, and the mind is in a wholesome state. Then you can notice that if you just let the mind and you relax, and you do not exert too much of energy in that sort of trying to suppress those hindrances, and stay calm and composed, then you start to see that you can hear some sound, you can feel that, and you can actually, your attention become a bit sharper. That's that that feeling do arise based on some condition, and we don't need to worry about what is that condition. That feeling arose because of the condition, and that's all we need to know. And that condition is contact. That is the. So we don't need to kind of make that sort of kind of a scientific exploration of what is this contact. Yeah, it's just contact is a notion that before the feeling, that there is something that triggered that feeling, and we know that condition is contact. Yeah. So when we have that sort of feeling, and we know that feeling does stay, and feeling that have got some sort of bit more length into that sort of, you started to not only have that sort of feeling, but there is a slightly protracted experience of that sort of feeling. And that whenever there is a feeling, and tied to that feeling there is some sort of experience, and that experience is the perception. Yeah, that that feeling is somewhat looks or sounds familiar, and that is perception. Yeah. And perception and formation is what is formation is in a kind of our tendency to kind of Okay, I hear something, there is a sound, and you will have that sort of kind of some sort of inclination to act upon that, and that is the formation. Is that whether I need to listen to the sound, continue to listen to a bit longer, or kind of ignore that sound, or let's say to shut the door. Yeah. So you have that sort of intention to do that sort of activities that is tied to that sort of feeling. Yeah. So you can see that our mind and body activities are always tuned to do something, to respond to that sort of each and every event. Yeah. And that is the what we call, that is that tendency is the formation. And those formations manifest either in terms of speech, or they manifest in terms of our bodily activities, or in terms of our thinking. Yeah. So that's all formation is that our inclination to do something is the formation. Yeah. The unification, and then formation would, then we start to pay attention. What is that? What next? Then that is the attention is, okay, I heard a sound, then okay, I need to do something about the sound. Then you pay attention to that and then plan. Yeah. So that's how the kind of our phenomena do work in this sort of very, it's not the five aggregates and the link of dependent origination. We should not take them as a kind of very mystical, or the sort of a very mysterious events that is completely outside our daily experience. They are very, very simple experiences, and yes, they can be, they are so profound. Buddha says that the scale and the extent of this phenomena, they do cover the entire gamut of our experience, be it the minutest microsecond of our experience, or the large grand scale of our cosmic explosion of the Big Bang and that sort of trillions and trillions of rebirth and that sort of cycles. This phenomena, the mind and interaction between mind and body, that sort of what you call the five aggregates, or the links of dependent origination, the conditionality, they are with this experience in a micro scale, in a very, very large scale, in billions of light years, or in a nanosecond, or let's say you can call it Planck length, that sort of 10 to the power minus 37 second. Yeah. So that's kind of, it is so pervasive. Yeah. So that's why this dependent origination is the, if you have seen this dependent origination, when you see that this is the kind of a mechanism that what makes you awake, is, there you go. You have seen the kind of, you have seen the process, and you have disentangled from the process. Yeah. And never to be passed up. So when you are awake from that, is you have broken the bond. Yeah. With being bound, with being identified. And that's what the stream entry is all about, is that you have become an Ariya, or sort of you have become the outsider of this samsaric chain. Yeah. So stream entry is that, is you have become a flow of a stream of Dhamma. Yeah. You have become disassociated from this samsaric journey. You have taken a slow boat out of samsara. That's what some of the teachers say. Yeah. So and that's why I say we it's this the experience of awakening, it doesn't need to be so kind of very, very shall I say profound, so very deep, incomprehensible. No. they can be simplified. And we need to understand this very fact that these are all, it's kind of, we are fueling them, we are nourishing them by our attention, by our engagement. And the whole teaching of the Buddha is to be associated, be free, and be independent of this flow. Yeah. So once you have taken a step back, you have become disassociated, then all the insights arise, and that's what the whenever Sariputta's experience is that. So he saw the five aggregates clearly. Then he saw that then he saw the jhana factors. So what are the jhana factors? Now, and this jhana factor, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. So in the first jhana, what we have is a zeal, some sort of excitement. Decision is that it's a really good one. You continue to practice that, and you can make that sort of decision to stay with that. Yeah. And you will because of that zeal and decision to invest your time on that wholesome state, is you automatically gain the energy. You will be free of sloth and torpor. You will be temporarily, yeah, not permanently, of course. You in this state of jhana, your sluggishness goes away. Your mind will be energized, and you will have a sharper mindfulness. You hear things more clearly. You can, your awareness become even more heightened. Yeah. And your mind will not shake. So it will have that sort of equanimity, in the sense not to be reacted, either outward or the inward. So you will not be not too much attracted to jhana, or be attracted to the sound, or all this kind of noise. Your mind is just in the middle, exactly balanced, staying in a balanced state. That is the equanimity. And these are the jhana factors. And your attention is unwavering. So you stay with your mind, your meditation object, with very, very, it doesn't require that much of effort. Yeah. So your attention will become more stronger. Yeah, stronger. So that's all. So he could see all that. So, and I would say that I when we practice, in the beginning, we don't need to worry about which factor is which, and which all we have, because the rapture and pleasure born of seclusion, that's all we experience. And when we are, for the first time, when the jhana arises, it somehow blows the mind away. Yeah, it's just all this kind of a confused state of mind, all this kind of restlessness, and all this sort of kind of the worldly expectations. And we never have imagined that mind can be in such a otherworldly state. Is that how could such a thing arise from the same mind that was so agitated just few minutes ago? How come? You will be amazed. Yeah. So when I had that sort of first experience, it was quite a revelation, and there you go. So then I had quite a strong conviction in the suttas, and I did understand the suttas very well. That's what the Buddha is saying, is that he's just describing the process. Yeah, is this is how the mind works. Yeah, and there is nothing kind of so mysterious about these all these jhana state, and also they do arise as simple as that, by letting go of the unwholesome and bringing the wholesome. And it's very easy to get swept away by these simple words that I know what you're saying, yeah, but I didn't see that. So people are very easy to dismiss that sort of assertion that by letting them go, and by having that sort of wholesome state. But the key is to have that sustained wholesome thought for some time. Yeah, just that, that few minutes. Yeah, it makes all the difference between the world and the jhana. Yeah. Again, because with the stilling of applied and sustained thought, Sariputta in turn abided in the second jhana, which has self-confidence and singleness of mind without applied and sustained thought, and with rapture and pleasure born of collective concentration. Yeah. So second jhana, as what is happening is that in the second jhana, so our practice is to let go of unwholesome, bring the wholesome. Let go of unwholesome, bring the wholesome. Let go of unwholesome, bring the wholesome. So keep doing that, and what happens is that because that practice is going to naturally abandon any coarser experiences, and it will lead you towards that sort of global, what is called global optimum. Yeah, in science or in physics or in mathematics, you have got a local optimum and global optimum. Yeah. So Nibbana is our global optimum, where all the states converge into that state of Nibbana, and the jhanas are local optimum, is that you will kind of have that sort of a, let's say, a mind dipping, yeah, going deeper. So, and jumping from the confused worldly state into the jhana state is, all you need to do is just let go of unwholesome, bring the wholesome. Let go of unwholesome, bring the wholesome. There is only one recipe in this Buddha's path. That's it. All you do is that is the practice. Yeah. And you will, that will leapfrog you into from first jhana to second jhana, from second to third, and from third to fourth, and so on. Yeah. So it's kind of, that's all the practice is. Yeah. So we don't need to, there is no kind of different recipe from entering from first jhana into second jhana, from second to third jhana. It's a rinse and repeat. Yeah, it's the same process. You just follow the same process, exactly ditto, but it will magically change from first jhana to second jhana. Yeah, so you don't need to tweak anything from in your practice. Yeah. So all we need to do is, when the mind has entered a state of ease and comfort, we need to make sure that anything that makes mind and body uncomfortable, let that barrier go. Yeah, that means to relax. And if you say something, if you verbalize your thinking and an examining thought, if you say a word and that makes your mind and body uncomfortable, you let that verbalization go. Yeah. And in the next stage, if your kind of thinking process will have that sort of discomfort in your body and mind, you let go of thinking, just stay with the feeling and so on. Yeah. So the process is, anything that makes your mind and body comfortable, do that. Anything that makes your mind and body uncomfortable, let go of that. That is the key. Yeah. So in the second jhana, which has what the Buddha says, Sariputta enter and abide in second jhana, which has self-confidence and singleness of mind, without an applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of seclusion. Yeah. So what happened? Even that's applied and sustained thought, you had some sort of effort. You made some sort of you had to exert some energy. So you need to let that go. So that means you need to let go of any verbalization. May I be a kind human being? You don't need to say the word. Just kind. Just composed. Just happiness. Just generosity. Just composure. Just bliss. The ease. The compassion. you just need to bring that, kind of a thought, just thought moment, not the process. Yeah. So that will remove that discomfort and the sort of tension in your mind. And that tension will subside, and that will lead you to the second jhana. And in the second jhana, you have let go of applied and sustained thought. So you don't need to bring that sort of intention of making that sort of, may I be happy, that sort of thing. Yeah, you just need to let go of that sort of intentionalizing. Yeah. So just bring that feeling. That's it. Stay with the feeling. And here you go. And then in the state in the second jhana, the self-confidence. Self-confidence is this factor that is present in the second jhana. So what is that saying? Self-confidence is that, is that sort of conviction, is that sort of very good feeling about that, is I am in the right path. Yeah. Is I don't need to worried. Yeah. So if you feel like, you are worried, and if you had that sort of, kind of let's say lack of, confidence, staying in the second jhana gives you that sort of very, very good balance of mind. Yeah. So if you feel like you are worried and you are not, you are not, let's say sure in the present moment, then just stay in half an hour, just stay in a second jhana for half an hour, and all your worry and anxiety and all your kind of, unsettledness of your mind goes away. You will be very, very composed, and you will be much more at ease, that your mind will be confident. Yeah, it's kind of the self-confidence is kind of having that sort of conviction, is I'm fine. Yeah, I don't need to worry about that. So that is the second jhana is having that sort of property of second jhana. And the other is the rapture, the pleasure, the unification of mind is, as I said, in the first jhana, you have got a rapture and pleasure. But in the second jhana, you have got a slightly more unification of mind, and you got a self-confidence. Yeah. And your stability of mind becomes higher, and your excitement factor goes a little bit away, and peaceful and calm factor goes a bit up. Yeah. So in the second jhana, you will be less excited, but you will be more composed. Yeah. It will be just fine moment. Yeah. So second jhana is in that respect, it is slightly more peaceful and more composed. Less excitement, less rapture, but more composure. Thus second jhana, and in second jhana there is more self-confidence and conviction, is that I can deal with anything. That sort of confidence arises. So I mentioned about the five aggregate, the feeling, contact, feeling, perception, formation, and mind, zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. So these states are there in the second jhana as well. So this is like a template of the Buddha's path, is that you will always have this energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These factors are there in all the jhanas. Yeah. So these states have been defined one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose. Known they were present. Known they dissipate. He understood. And he remained unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated, and mind without reader barrier. So this is quite an interesting kind of a experience. It's like if you have seen, let's say if you watch, let's say in the night sky, and it's a clear night, and there is no cloud, and if you watch the sky, you get that sort of pristine feeling. In a cloudless sky, there is nothing, no traces of cloud, and everything is just you are in the present moment. Yeah, it's just you are there. The experience is there. You are not tied to any of those experiences. It is just in front of you. You are not reacting to any of those things. It is just in front of you. You are neither repelled, nor not excited. It's just there. So you are totally and in the present moment. So that's what this experience is. It's like being in that sort of fully in the present moment without being shaken either to this side or that side, and completely be, kind of fully kind of, like a universe is in front of you and you are independent. There is nothing that, you are totally disentangled, completely free from any sort of, contact. Yeah, it's kind of like two sides of the road. Yeah, you have those two sides of the road. They never meet each other, or two sides of the river, like that. Yeah, it's kind of Sariputta saw that he's standing in this corner of the river, the other side is there. Those two never meet each other. It's like that. That is the independence you have. Is that all this phenomena you have nothing to. It's there, but it has nothing to do with you. That's how you maintain that sort of freedom and that sort of clarity. Yeah. Okay, so this is the second jhana. Now what says Buddha says again, because with the fading away and as well as of rapture, Sariputta abided in equanimity and mindful and fully aware, still feeling pleasure with the body. He entered upon and abided in the third jhana, on account of which Noble once announced, he has a pleasant abiding who has equanimity and is mindfulness. So third jhana is a pleasure of body. Yeah. So in Pali it is called sukha. In the first jhana and second jhana there is a piti. Yeah, piti is what is called the excited kind of joy, some sort of excitement. And in the third jhana, that excitement, piti, goes away completely, and it will have that sort of very, very comfortable and very, very tranquil and calm comfort in your body. Yeah. So there is a sutta, I think it's Ganakamogalan Sutta. I think that's where Buddha says that in the first jhana is like Buddha compares like, it's like a sponge. It is drenched and filled with all in a kind of water, and there is no part of that sort of let's say what is called the bath powder, that is not unpervaded by that sort of feeling of that sort of water. Yeah, that's so like a bath powder. Yeah, is when you knead it with that sort of water, it soaks the entire let's say bath powder with the water. Yeah? In the same manner, when you are in the first jhana, your entire body, each and every cell of the body will experience that pleasure and joy. And in the second jhana, Buddha compares that to some sort of still lake with up to the brim, and no part of the ground untouched by that sort of the lake. Yeah. So that is how the jhanas will permeate each and every cell of the body. It brings that sort of so much of happiness. So in the third jhana, your comfort, you will feel so comfortable, so at ease. Yeah. So that is the happiness. And if there is one word that describes this third jhana, that is sukha. Yeah, is happiness, comfort of the body. And in the third jhana is what the factor that becomes dominant is your rapture and pleasure goes away. The comfort of your body increases and your equanimity becomes rock solid. So your mind does not deviate much. It remains very, very at ease and steady. Yeah, it's kind of, your mind is not, you say, finding any that sort of, kind of a room for any kind of a dithering. Yeah, so it becomes quite like a rock solid. Yeah, so that is the kind of experience of the third jhana, and that is what this is what the pleasant abiding is called. So Buddha and all the his disciples have, they often stay in the pleasant abiding. Yeah, so pleasant abiding is the third jhana. Yeah, it's kind of it's been, it's been mentioned in so many suttas, is that, now I wish to go for seclusion, and I would, Bhante, are you going to abide in the pleasant abiding? And Buddha says, yeah, I do stay in the pleasant abiding, I do stay in the peaceful abiding, I stay in emptiness, and so on. Yeah, so this is all referring to various states of jhanas. Yeah, so it's just, when you practice this path, you can abide in any of those states at your will. Yeah, so okay, I would stay in the third jhana for another 10-15 minutes. Then after I'm done with that, and I will stay in the base of infinite space. So you just make a mind, just give a command to your mind. Okay, mind, just take me to the state of nothingness, and mind will just switch over. It's like switching the radio, TV remote control. Yeah, so that's how the mind becomes so malleable and flexible. Yeah, so third jhana is has got that sort of property of extreme comfort in the body, and equanimity, as I mentioned, and it's the same with the other factor. And as I say, I will just read it. And in the state of the third jhana, the equanimity, the pleasure, the mindfulness, the full awareness, the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, volition, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. He understood thus, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. So third jhana is not the end of the path, and because you are continually bringing in the wholesome and letting go of the unwholesome, you are making the progress all the time. Yeah, so it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't, it may be that you will be experiencing the third jhana, and within 5 minutes you have already skipped the third jhana and you are in the fourth jhana. Yeah, and it just happened like a split second that you cross from second jhana to fourth jhana, and you just had some sort of very quick succession of those jhanas. Yeah, so it does happen, and you don't need to worry about why I did see all of that. You can reflect back. So, and that's why I'm saying that becoming familiar with the process is that is the mastery. That is the kind of a, let's say, it's like once you have become skilled, you can experience that any of those previous experience at your will, and all permutation. You can do anything you like. It's like once you are in a kind of skilled meditator, you can pull them inside out, all these jhanas, and you can do all sort of you can play with them. You want to tweak them. You can bring the hindrances. You can whatever you like. You can do all sort of experimentation. So that's why you if you have skipped past the jhanas and you didn't see the any of those jhanas, you can revisit them. There will be times you can go back and you can experience them very up close and personal. Yeah. So and it's just the matter of those jhanas is that before you had just a glimpse. When you have become a bit more experiences those sort of jhanas, then you will see that the previous experience was very rudimentary. It was somewhat flaky, and you start to see that there you go, the richness of jhana. You will feel like, like it's completely different experience. But that is the how it is, that and it's the same thing, is that those who are arhats and those who are perfected ones, they do experience jhana in a much more fine. They don't have any kind of tendencies that will clutter the experience of jhana. Yeah, so they experience everything in their utmost purity. Yeah, so so we become skilled, and our experience become more stable. Both those arhats, they can be in the jhana in 100%. Yeah, they can go into that sort of finest experience. Okay, so and again, because with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. So fourth jhana is now what happens is that as you progress in the path, is that pleasure and pain, they just become like some sort of a temporary feeling, and their longevity are somewhat short-lived, and you will see that actually this pleasure and pain, there is even better experience than pleasure and joy, and the comfort of the body is called equanimity. Is that, and that's where the neither painful nor pleasant feeling of the fourth jhana is. In the fourth jhana is that all these sort of ripples of pleasure and pain, joy, and the comfort of this body, they become coarser, and you will feel that actually the mind will become much more at ease with this state of equanimity. Is that when you have let go of this joy and happiness, is that you are unburdened, you are lightened by not having those sort of activities in your mind. So your mind will be uncluttered, it will be purer because of those artifacts or noise being removed from the domain of your mind. Yeah, so that is how the fourth jhana has got a purity of mindfulness, because there is no other noise or sort of other vibrations that does shake the peace and calm of the mind. Yeah, so the fourth jhana is that sort of very, very strong balance of the mind, and you feel that you can experience that sort of your tendency, mind becomes very, very fearless, mind becomes very, very strong, mind becomes extremely focused, I would say clear. Yeah, it becomes you have such an exquisite balance, is that nothing in this world will make you emotional. Yeah, so any horror, any kind of scream, any scared, more doom and gloom, any kind of debacles, any disaster, whatever you can think of, they will not shake your state of mind. Your mind becomes so much at balance. It just becomes like a rock. Yeah, it just nothing can shake that foundation of the mind. So that is the state of fourth jhana. Yeah, and the fourth jhana also characterizes with those state of equanimity, neither painful and nor pleasant feeling, the mental unconcerned due to tranquility. So just exquisite calm and composure, and mind is not shaken at all, and it just feels like there is all the winds and all these vibration have come to complete standstill. So the maybe the kind of, let's say, calm after storm or something like that. It's just in a state of that sort of very very balance, just complete stillness. Yeah, that is the state of fourth jhana. And the purity of mindfulness, unification of mind, contact, feeling, perception, formation, and mind, the zeal, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states are defined by one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose, and known they were present, known they disappeared. He understood that. Thus, with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. So, okay, this is the fourth jhana. I will take a pause now.